welcome back. Hope you're well. So today I'm here to start filming my Halloween video, and for this year I thought reading ghost stories would be very fun. Ghost stories tend to scare me quite a lot. They freak me out. I'm a very imaginative person, and so if I'm reading ghost stories and I just hear the AC click on, I'm absolutely terrified. It is freaky and I don't like it. So I want to read ghost stories and challenge myself a bit because one, it's spooky month and it's going to creep me out, and two, I would like to try and maybe get over that fear a little bit because there are ghost stories that I quite like. I don't know if I'll ever again read ghost horror stories. I read The Haunting of Hill House I read The Haunting of Gillespe House. And that, I don't even remember what happens, but it freaked me out. I just remembered what happens. It was creepy. It was very, very creepy. So yeah, that is why. However, I'm not gonna start reading just yet because there is something that I need to do before we start this reading vlog, reading challenge, whatever you want to call it. And what I need to do is dye. Yes, you heard that right. I am dyeing for this video. So not only will I be reading ghost stories, but I will be reading ghost stories as a ghost. And I'm sure you're wondering, you're not serious, are you? I'm 110% serious. And I'm sure you're wondering how I'm going to get rid of my mortal flesh and become a spirit. So I have my very handy dandy cup that normally is filled with water. Today, it is filled with a bunch of things. Kind of just threw anything in there that would be deadly. I'm just gonna drink this and I'll come back when I'm undead, and then I'll start the reading vlog. So I've been debating if I should do this on camera or not, but I want you guys to know that I'm authentic and I don't pretend or fake anything. So I'm gonna drink my deathly concoction on camera. I wonder what I'll look like as a spirit. Like, that's one thing that I'm like wondering. Like, I hope I don't have my current outfit on because I think being a demon or a ghost with this shirt won't look great for me. But let's go. Bon appetit. I will see you on the other side. Ugh. Ugh. Oh my goodness, that is the worst thing that I've ever drank. That was awful. That tasted like poison, which it was. Oh, I don't feel great. I really don't feel great. Okay, yeah, I don't feel good. I'm gonna go lie down. Oh my God. Did it work? Oh, okay, it worked. Hi, how are you? I am dead. So, I guess I better get started reading the first book of this video, which will be Phantom Heart by Kelly Creagh. I wanted to read this one because I've just kind of been wanting to give ghost stories more of a shot. They used to scare me quite a lot and freak me out, but I think now that I myself am a ghost, I think I'll be able to handle it a lot better, and I think this is the perfect time for me to try it. So I guess let's just read it and find out what we think of it, and I'll be back once I've finished reading it. All right, so I have officially finished Phantom Heart, and I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars. In general, I saw a review where it said that this book is essentially Twilight meets Phantom of the Opera, and I genuinely think that sums up this story very well. And so if you want to read it, just know that's how it is going into it. So this book was a love triangle, and for those of you that don't know, I'm not a fan of love triangles, both in my living and dead days. Just, it's not the thing for me personally. And so that was kind of a tough pill to swallow, I think. And then I assumed who she would end up with. I thought it was very clear and obvious, and I ended up being wrong, and I don't really know how I feel about who she ended up with. Not that I disliked him or that I liked one more than the other. Quite frankly, I didn't care, but I just thought there was a very obvious choice, and apparently there was, but I was not correct about who it was. And so that was just kind of confusing for me, and I don't really know how I feel about that part specifically. I'm trying to make this spoiler free, so I'm not trying to give any indication who she did end up with. However, you know, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess. So that's how I felt about that. And then in terms of the actual plot, when we discovered what Zedok was, the Phantom in this Phantom of the Opera retelling, that was kind of crazy. I'm not going to say what the lore is, how it happened or something, but let me tell you, I was confused. I just kept thinking to myself that there's absolutely no way that what they're saying and what they're implying is the case. And it was just so strange, very unique, slightly confusing though. I genuinely think that it was like a tiny bit too complicated for what it should have been, but you know, who am I? Who am I to judge? I'm nothing but a measly spirit. I'll be very honest, perhaps it's because I'm no longer human, but the main girl did quite annoy me sometimes. She really fell in love with both characters just upon seeing them. Like, she looked at their faces and went, yep, love of my life. And I understand that she is 17 and that's kind of just how teenage brains work, but it was still kind of like, girl, give it a second, at least say hi first. My goodness. The lore and reasoning behind why the Phantom was absolutely crazy. And then obviously we're here to find out how I fared reading a ghost story as a ghost, and I do have to say, I fared really well. Maybe it is because I am also a spirit now and therefore can see if there were to be anything creepy around. However, I wasn't really frightened all that much. It definitely probably also has to do with the fact that it is YA and it's just like a fantasy romance. I don't think it was meant to be scary. It was a bit creepy at some points, but I think that was the goal. So yeah, I would say this was kind of successful. However, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have done this while I was alive so that I didn't have to, you know, just sit through all this just to not know if I would be scared if I was alive, because obviously this is very different from if I were still to be a breathing human being instead of a spirit. So yeah, but on to the next book, which will hopefully tell me more. We will see. And yeah. Hi, so it's a little bit later. You can't tell because I now look exactly the same each and every day, and I'm seemingly trapped in the most creepy places in my apartment, which is this hallway with the dark doors. I can't get them shut. It's very annoying. I don't like open doors, but for some reason, having turned into a spirit myself, it seems that darkness is not far behind anymore. It's unfortunate. And also, now that it's been a while in my spirit body, I really have to say the fact that I still need my glasses is ridiculous, quite frankly. And because I no longer have ears to keep them on my face, or a nose, quite frankly, I have to use this ridiculous band. I don't even know if you can see that. I don't even know if you can see me. I don't know how I'm going to edit this. I don't have hands. I have this. I did not think this through. Maybe I shouldn't have died for this. Anyway, the next book that I will be rereading in my time of death is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. So this is actually a reread. I have read it before and I did give it 5 stars, but I've been wanting to reread it because it's just one of those books where I feel like I didn't give it enough attention, but then also kind of like I was so excited that I gave it 5 stars anyway, and it just feels kind of like, no, I need to reread it and re-rate it and just kind of figure out where I'm at, because I don't know, but originally I really loved it. I thought the plot twists were really interesting and I really enjoyed it. It doesn't have any romance in it, and I think that was one of the first books that I'd read that weren't mystery thrillers that was without romance, and so that was just a quite exciting new experience for me as well, and I actually did enjoy that. So I'm hoping that I do still feel the same, but we will see. So I will check back in once I've completed it. Also, I forgot to mention a few days ago, so I'll mention it now. For Phantom Heart, please listen to the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook, and when the chandelier crashes, because that scene is there, don't worry if you are a Phantom of the Opera fan, that scene is there. They have the sound effects. It's crazy. It was really cool. And yeah, the audiobook was just done wonderfully. So please listen to the audiobook, not physically read it. Unless you really want to, but I highly recommend the audiobook. Anyway, yeah, back to Vespertine. I'm gonna go read it and we will see how I feel. I don't think I have a mouth anymore, but I'm smiling, so yeah. I think I don't have fingers, but this is a thumbs up. Hi, I'm still stuck in this minuscule hallway. I am frightened that I will be living here forever, so we're still figuring that out. I'm sure I can leave, I just don't know how yet. But anyway, in regards to my Vespertine review, I did end up really enjoying it. I still fully stand by how I felt when I read it the first time. However, this time I did lower the rating from 5 stars to a 4.5. By no means is me lowering the rating a reflection of me liking it any less. I just feel that a 4.5 is more accurate to how I feel about it than the previously chosen 5-star. I did get very caught up in the excitement of it all, and so I think I gave it a 5-star because I was just on a Margaret Rogerson high rather than like actually thinking it was a 5-star. So that's why I lowered it. However, it was still a really amazing read. I do still highly recommend it, and I just have a lot to say about this book, so I guess let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is the friendship arc of this novel. I absolutely love it. She has a really, really wonderful friendship development between two characters. I won't say who they are just to keep it like as spoiler-free as possible, but both developments are wonderful to watch and very heartwarming, but one in particular is just so sweet because this character takes such good care of Artemisia, and it's just truly a wonderful thing to see. And I hope one day we can all have a friend like this friend if we don't already. And then of course, as I mentioned earlier, there is no romance arc, which I'm very relieved for because this book didn't need it. Rereading it truly did solidify that for me. This book doesn't need a romance arc. It didn't need a love story. It was just a very wonderful story about this very well portrayed, socially anxious girl making friends for the first time in her life whilst also just trying to like be a good person. And it's a very wonderful story in that aspect, and I really enjoyed it. I do have to say, I really loved the Revenant's character. I think he was probably one of my favorite characters. He was just very funny, and I love the depth to his character, especially when you first start reading it. You don't really think that there's going to be much depth, but there is. And in a way, he kind of reminds me of the Nightmare from One Dark Window, which I absolutely love because I love the Nightmare in that duology. And yeah, I just really enjoyed him and his depth and his growth and seeing where his storyline went. And honestly, there was a moment on page 322, I believe, where he said something and I honestly teared up. It was just so incredibly sweet. I truly enjoy his character so much, and I really like him. I do unfortunately have one complaint That was air quotes. I still know half fingers. I haven't gotten used to that at all. It's actually it's very frustrating. Anyway, let's not get into that. As I was saying, I do have one complaint, which is not really even a complaint because it didn't really bother me all that much. It was just something that I had to get used to, and that was kind of the pacing of this book. I do think I felt it the first time, but then because this was the second time that I read this, it was just kind of strange because things I thought were happening at like the 80% mark were happening at like the 50% mark, but then at the 30-40% mark, it felt like I had to be at 60% already. And so that was just strange to me, and maybe it's because I misremembered the plot or the feeling of it. Maybe it's the way it's written. It's not poorly written in any type of way. Margaret Rogerson does not write a bad book. But the pacing, to me personally, did kind of just confuse me a little bit, I guess you could say. And so that was kind of hard to deal with. But it wasn't like the end of the world necessarily. So there is that. And honestly, yeah, that's kind of it. I listened to the audiobook this time around mostly as well because I felt like it, quite frankly. So yeah, it was good. I love audiobooks. It was well done. And one thing I just love about audiobooks in general is you can just really, really hear the emotion really well, which is nice, which is why I'm always an advocate for it. No cool sound effects like Phantom Heart though, so that's unfortunate. In general, the first time I read this, I did think that there would be a sequel to this book. However, rereading it the second time, I could definitely see how it is just more of an open-ended ending. It's one of those books where it ends in such a way where there could very easily be a sequel and we could very easily continue following Artemisia on further adventures. However, it also ended nicely enough to the point where it's like, if it stays a standalone forever, you're not being left on like a cliffhanger or anything, which I personally really enjoyed because, I don't know, I would love to follow her on more adventures. She's a great character, and I think that Margaret Rogerson can definitely get a lot more good plot out of this book and this storyline if she chose to make it a series. However, if this is also just a standalone and she leaves it there, I'm more than satisfied with that. I don't think there are enough standalones anymore, to be quite frank. Even in the normal romance genre, everything's an interconnected standalone, and it's just kind of like, we don't need that much. We can just do single stories. Not everything has to be a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 book series. We could just write a story and then move on from it. So I really don't mind which way it goes. But yeah, this was just a really wonderful experience, and I can't wait to reread her other books. And in general, this one, the spirits were definitely quite frightening in this one. I wasn't scared, but they were creepy and kind of like, oh, if I'd been alive in this book, I would be terrified. However, considering the fact that I am actually already dead, it's not really that much of an issue, I suppose, because I would already be a spirit. I'd probably be just like a wraith or something that's has no thoughts and no feelings and just bobs in the woods for all of eternity. I guess it's a good thing that I'm dead, because that thought would be very bad for my mental health. Anyway, those are the only 2 books that I'm going to be reading in this video. I did consider 2 other books, however, I just didn't want this video to be too overwhelming because, you know, I didn't want to plan too much. I didn't even know if I could read if I didn't have eyes anymore, which don't really know how that works. Maybe I transported into the story since I'm now a spirit, and I can probably do that. I should figure out how this body works. Wait, how do I bring myself back to life? Because this was just meant to be for Halloween, and October. So how do I do that? I didn't think this through. Okay, well, I think I have to go and figure that out. I need to figure out how to become alive again. And so I guess I'll be back, hopefully. Hopefully you see me in a week, alive and well. If not, I guess I couldn't bring myself back to life. I don't know. So we'll figure things out. It'll be okay. I hope you have a very spooky, spectacular Halloween. I hope that you're still alive and well after it. Don't do what I did. This might have been a mistake. I might be stuck like this forever. I don't know. But we'll see. Hopefully I will see you in the flesh next week. If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I'm not normally dead. If this is your first video, I'm actually alive in every single other video, so that's exciting. But yeah, I hope you have a very wonderful day, and no, I hope you have a very scary day because it's Halloween, or close to it, the weekend of. I hope you have a very scary day. I will see you, hopefully alive and well, next week. Goodbye. I'm waving. I don't have hands.